well, now that I'm done taking the piss with the last two videos, I thought I might move on to something a bit more, of substance. So I thought I might go into a bit, right, like about the real reality when it comes to learning any language. This isn't exclusive to Japanese. It can honestly be just any language, right? I mean, some more so than others because some are going to be easier, especially if you're like, say for instance, you're an Italian native speaker and you want to learn French or Spanish. Like, it's going to be significantly easier than going from English to Japanese or English to Chinese, Arabic, Russian, whatever. And so I kind of wanted to touch upon like the real reality when it comes to how much effort it takes to actually get anywhere significant when learning a language, right? So obviously you can learn a bit, you can study, say, and I know I took the piece in the last video saying, oh, you study 15 minutes a day. I'm not. It's an over exaggeration, hyperbole, you know what I mean? Like, it's just stirring you up a bit, mate. But, even if you are studying, say 1 hour a day or something like that, 2 hours a day, listening 2 hours a day or something like that, or probably 1 hour is a bit more like, not really going to get anywhere. But say you're not listening much, right? The sad reality of the situation is, that of course you're going to get better, right? You're going to continuously see improvement in your own ability, which is going to lead you to thinking that, at some point I'm going to get to that, level of those people you see online who speak super good Japanese or super good in other languages. You might think, if I just study this much, eventually I'll get to that level. And I mean, you might get close to it after 10 years or something, ridiculous like that. But the sad reality of the situation is, that if you want to get to a super high level like that, you're going to have to put in more time every day to actually get there in a reasonable amount of time. Like, the sad part about it is, right, most of you subscribe to my channel, right? I hope all of you get to the level that you want to get to. But the sad reality is probably most of you won't. Most people who set out to get really good at Japanese or any other language won't be successful. Most people will fail. You'll get to a certain degree where you're just like, is it worth it, the time I'm putting in and stuff like that? And it's not of your own fault necessarily. Some people, of course, it comes down to laziness. Like, I don't want to put in the effort or watch anime, all the shit I said in the last two videos. But in reality, life comes into play, right? To get really real and step away from all the character and all the bullshit, right? Life gets in the way, right? Doesn't it? Really? Say you're older than me, you're in your 30s, 40s, whatever, and you've got kids, like, that's a whole different thing, right? Where you've got other responsibilities that come in, you have to work a full-time job, you might not be well off financially so that you have to be working two jobs. You might not going to have a lot of time. Maybe you'll have some time, theoretically you could say, you've got this much time, you could still do it, but you're not going to have the mental energy or the mental space to really be sitting down and like attempting to immerse for 4 hours a day or something crazy like that. Of course you can do it, but it's going to be so much more difficult than, say, someone in high school, living with their parents, for instance. So most people, that set out to do this huge goal, because it is a huge goal of learning another language to a really high level. Like, I'm not talking about, just people doing it for a hobby because they enjoy it. I'm talking about people who set out with a goal in mind, saying, okay, I want to become super fluent in this language, right? I want to get it close to my level of English, or as close as possible, and get really good in it. Not just speak a few words here and there, but like get super good, where you can fool natives into thinking that, he could be from this language, or, they listen to you and they think, wow, this guy's actually amazing at speaking the language. If you want to get to that high level, it's going to take a phenomenal amount of effort, like a huge amount. So the amount of effort it takes, you're not necessarily going to be able to put that in when you've got so much other things going on in your life. Some of you will be able to, some people, there's exceptions. There's people that can put in that effort and can really, focus themselves to the point where they can put out the other things going on in their life, disengage them from their mind and focus on the goal when they have the time. So say they're working all day, they got kids, they got other responsibilities, they got an hour here, 20 minutes here, 15 minutes here. Some people, be able to switch off from everything else, all the other responsibilities, focus for that time and get it done. There's going to be people like that, of course. There's going to be people, exceptions, that are really good at doing that and thus will reach their goals of eventually getting super proficient in that language. But the sad thing is, right, most people, well, I don't want to say most, but a lot of people, don't have it in them. And I'm not saying, this video isn't to say, give up, like, you're pathetic, give up, you're not going to do it. It's more so to say, it's a difficult thing, right? And so if you're not getting where you want to be, I don't think that's a reason to really be upset with yourself, unless it's your own fault. Some people, it's your fucking fault. Your fault, like if it's you're just sitting there, you've got no other responsibilities, and when I say other responsibilities, I don't mean like, oh, I've got to fucking study, it's high school, something like this, like, or some bullshit like that. Some people have real shit going on. And I'm not going to sit here and pretend I'm one of them, I'm very privileged in my ability to be able to train, go to uni, study, all this stuff. I feel very privileged in that fact. Like, I don't want to sit here and say, oh, I'm a tough cunt, I fucking did it, you can do it. Although I do sometimes say that. I'm saying that some people really do have shit going on, like some high, some huge responsibilities, and they're not going to be able to do it. But a lot of people will be able to, Like when I was making fun of the refolders in the other video, right? I'm obviously not making fun of everyone. Like, how self-obsessed do you have to be to think that, oh, he's making fun of me? Out of 15,000 people, he's making fun of me. Like, get a grip, honestly. It's not about you, lad. It's about everyone else that I'm describing the video. You say, oh, it's not describing me. That's because I'm not talking about you, bro. You dumb. That's what I'm saying. Like, it annoys me a little bit, but yeah. So some people just make excuses, right? And so if you're one of them, you need to stop making excuses and actually put in the effort. But the sad reality is, a lot of people aren't going to be able to do it. So, and as well, not only that, another thing is, right, it's not as good as you think it is. That's another sad part of it, is that as much as like I'd like to sit here and say, oh, it's amazing, you can learn languages, it changes your life. It can change your life. Like for me, I've had a lot of things that I experienced that I would have never experienced. I don't regret it for a second. But you have to think, depending on where you are in life, it may not be worth it to put that much effort in to learn a language. If it's just something you've always wanted to do, it's, a life goal, go for it. But it's like, I've done it with Japanese, and I can tell you, I'm never going to do what I did for Japanese ever again for any other language. It's just not going to happen. I do it now for, like, I learned Slovak, right? But I'm well aware that I'm never going to get that. Well, most likely, at least the way I'm doing it now, that's never going to get to the level of my Japanese, because I'm just not putting in that level of effort. I do it because, honestly, I enjoy the process of just doing Anki, listening here and there. Like, I have no real goals in mind of getting super good at it. I just enjoy it, like the actual process of it. And I think anyone like that is completely fine. Like there's no pressure to like force yourself to get good if you don't want to. Like, that doesn't really make much sense. But like, if you do want to get good, you got to realize how much effort it is going to take, and maybe come to terms that you might not be able to do it, depending on where you are in life, or you might not see it worth it because like I just said, like it's not really. What do you get from it? Like in reality, depending on the language, right? Like if you want to move there or you have to move there, then sure. But is Japan really what you think it is? Like, do you know that's where you want to be? If you're saying you want to move there and that's why you want to learn the language, is it worth it in that regard? Because I just see so many people, and like, who do say age out or refold, whatever the fuck you want to call it, and they get to a certain degree and they look back and they say, you know what? I don't even know why I did this. Like, I don't really like Japan. Like, what am I even doing this for? And I feel like a lot of people will probably end up like that if they get to that level where they've achieved what they wanted to achieve and realized, this isn't what I thought it was. You could be doing, something way more productive. Say, go to university. Oh, that costs a lot of money. Let's take that one back. But something different, learning a new skill, improving relationships with friends and family, spending time as well with friends and family, because what really is of value in life? Like, this is just obviously comes down to personal opinions and that, but what's really going to provide more value to your life? Your time with friends and loved ones, you don't know how long you've got, and for you to be sitting, locking yourself away in your room and depriving yourself of like fulfilling those things and talking to people and like, really embracing those relationships and actually like enjoying your life, taking all the time away from that just to learn a language, like, which is going to give you more fulfillment in your life, spending time with friends and family as much as possible, or learning fucking Japanese. Like, you got to put this stuff into perspective. Like, a lot of people aren't going to make it to the end because of, there's two reasons. The first one, it's just fucking hard. Like, it requires so much effort. And for a lot of people, it's just not going to work out because of how difficult it is. The second one, what are you doing it for? Like, in reality, I really think you got to ask yourself that. Like, this video isn't to necessarily discourage people. I just want to put a bit of perspective on things as someone who's, to be honest, I don't consider that I like wasted time, because I'm like, I don't like to think of things like that because I don't regret it or anything. But there's a lot of time, I spent doing it that I could have been doing other things. Like I could have been doing my MMA or something like that instead of doing Japanese. I could have been spending more time with, family, friends, embracing those things. A lot of the people that I knew, like a lot of the good friends I had from when I did Japanese, I'm not as close with them anymore. And I kind of attribute that as why. Like that's my own fault, but it's easy to do that, to be honest. Like when you're so focused and locked into something, it's easy to ignore what, your relationships around you and let that go to waste. So the whole kind of point of this video in the end, what I want to kind of get to is you really should consider whether it's fully worth it for you. Because if it isn't worth it for you and you're one of those people that are just grinding out hours, doing it as much as you can, like, I feel like you should reassess the situation. Like, I feel like if I could go back to myself when I started, I'd probably say the same thing, reassess it, maybe change it, maybe not. To be honest, I wouldn't have changed much now because I'm quite happy where I am right now. But who knows what could have been different if I had changed my mindset back then. And the second kind of point I wanted to get to, and I know this video is a bit all over the place, like my thoughts are a bit jumbled on this, like it's just like a general sort of like concept that I wanted to touch on. So it's not really, the video is not organized a huge amount. But anyway, this is what I wanted to get to here, is that if you're one of those people that have the goals of becoming super, super good like myself or someone else, or even fucking a million times better than me or anyone else, you might, if you're not putting in the time, you might want to reassess your process so you don't end up disappointing yourself. Because I feel like if you have those goals and you're not putting in the real amount of time and effort necessary, it can lead to kind of, a lack of self-fulfillment, and, you start to feel depressed with yourself because you say, why are these people so good and I'm not? Like, I don't think you should 100% put it on yourself. Like, if you've got other shit going on, like that's just the reality of it, And so I think it's best to initially like look at it and say, okay, if I actually want to get good, I just got to fucking like really grind it out and put as much effort into it as possible. And that's the only way I'm really going to achieve my goals. I really think you need to put that in your mind when you begin, or from now on. So that's the kind of things I want to talk about in this. I know this is a very big contrast to the last two videos I put out, but I'm not going to be a fucking drama YouTuber or some shit like that. I just, had some thoughts, I put them out there and all that, and fucking pissed some people off, which is pretty funny. But that's all I really wanted to address though in this video. So thanks for watching till the end. I hope for the people who were like just getting into this provided some sort of like perspective from someone who's kind of been through it all and looking back on the whole process. But yeah, let me know in the comments if this sort of like provided any sort of insight or anything, or what you think about what I've said here. I'd love to hear your thoughts if you disagree, agree, or whatever. And yeah, that's it for this video, guys. Thanks.